Gao Tu had always known life was unpredictable, but nothing had prepared him for the reality he faced now. Alone in his small, secluded apartment, he pressed a hand to his swollen abdomen, feeling the tiny, fragile life growing inside him. Every movement of the child brought a mixture of joy and terror, reminding him of the immense responsibility he carried. The pregnancy was difficult, far more dangerous than he had anticipated. His body, weakened by years of suppressants used to conceal his omega nature, struggled under the strain of growing life. Every day was a battle, every breath a careful negotiation between his desire to live and the peril that threatened him and his child. From the very beginning, complications had arisen. The doctor had warned him of the dangers multiple times, emphasizing how his long-term use of suppressants and medications had left his body fragile. "Gao Tu," the doctor had said, his tone grave. "This pregnancy is high risk. Any misstep could endanger both your life and the child's. You need to be extremely careful. And there is a possibility that you could lose the baby if your body can't handle the strain." Gao Tu had listened silently, gripping the edge of the examination table, his knuckles white, but he had refused to entertain the thought of giving up the child. It was not just a life growing inside him. It was hope, love. The early days were the hardest. Gao Tu had experienced near-constant nausea, fatigue that left him unable to function, and waves of dizziness that threatened to topple him. Each time he felt a flutter of movement from the child, his heart leapt with both relief and terror. The tiny life depended entirely on him, and he could feel the weight of that responsibility pressing down like a physical force. Even walking across the room required careful planning, each step calculated to avoid strain or danger. He often found himself curled on the couch, hands pressed over his belly, whispering words of reassurance to the child. "Hold on, little one. I will protect you," he murmured, his voice hoarse from exhaustion. Despite the constant pain, Gao Tu refused to surrender to despair. He had always been strong, always endured hardships silently, but this challenge was unlike any he had faced before. Every contraction, every flutter, every ache reminded him of what was at stake. He could not allow fear to dominate him. Each day, he forced himself to eat, to drink, to take the little steps that kept both him and his child alive. The apartment, once a place of refuge, had become a careful, regimented environment where every movement was considered, every sound measured, every decision weighed against potential risk. The emotional toll was equally devastating. Gao Tu missed Wenling terribly, the man whose love he had carried silently for years, the man whose absence now compounded the fear and loneliness of his pregnancy. He imagined Wenling's presence beside him, offering comfort, reassurance, and protection. But reality was cruel. Wenling did not know, could not know, and Gao Tu had chosen to hide for their safety. The secrecy, while necessary, added a layer of isolation that gnawed at his spirit. Nights were the worst, when the apartment was silent and the shadows long. Gao Tu would press a hand over his belly, imagining the life inside him, imagining a future where they might be safe, together, and loved. The risks were ever present. Gao Tu's weakened body was a constant source of anxiety. He had to carefully balance rest with activity, ensuring he did not strain himself or jeopardize the child's life. Even mundane tasks, walking to the kitchen, preparing a meal, washing a few dishes, became exercises in careful calculation. Each task was a test of endurance, each movement a negotiation with his own physical limits. The doctor's warnings echoed in his mind constantly, reminding him that one mistake could have devastating consequences. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the apartment filled with shadows, Gao Tu felt an intense pain ripple through his abdomen. He gasped, clutching his stomach, as the sensation brought tears to his eyes. Fear surged through him, a sharp, jagged fear that left him trembling. He whispered frantically to the child, his voice shaking. "Please, hold on. I need you. You're strong. Stay with me." Every heartbeat was a prayer, every breath a plea for survival. The tiny life inside him was fragile, yet resilient, and Gao Tu drew strength from that fragile spark. He would endure, he would survive, He would protect this child at all costs. Days bled into nights, and nights into weeks. The pregnancy became a relentless cycle of pain, fatigue, and fear, punctuated by moments of joy when he felt the child move, a reminder that life persisted despite the danger. Gao Tu spoke to the child constantly, whispering stories, dreams, and promises. One day we will be safe. One day we will be together. One day you will know love, he murmured. These words were as much a comfort to himself as they were a declaration of hope to the life inside him. He clung to these moments, drawing strength from the small miracle growing within. Despite his careful planning, Gao Tu knew the danger was never far. Each day brought new challenges, sudden pains, dizzy spells, and moments when he feared he might collapse. He learned to move deliberately, to conserve energy, to anticipate danger, and to prepare for emergencies. Every small success making it through a day without incident. Feeling the child move in response to his touch was a triumph, a reminder that he could endure. Each movement of the child became a source of strength, a reminder that he had a purpose beyond himself. The isolation weighed heavily on him. Gao Tu could not risk revealing his situation to anyone. Even the closest friends did not know the truth, and he feared what might happen if someone discovered the delicate state of his pregnancy. He was alone, carrying a secret that could bring both joy and danger. The walls of the apartment, while protective, felt confining, a constant reminder that he could not leave, could not be seen, could not risk the fragile life he protected. The silence was oppressive, but necessary, a barrier between safety and catastrophe. In quiet moments, Gao Tu reflected on Wenling, imagining the moments they could have shared if the circumstances were different. He wished, more than anything, that they could be together, that he could confide in Wenling, that they could face this challenge as a team. The longing for Wenling was a constant ache, intertwined with the fear and responsibility of the pregnancy. Every imagined conversation, every memory of Wenling's kindness, every silent wish for his presence fueled Gao Tu's determination to survive. The pregnancy tested Gao Tu in ways he had never imagined. Pain struck without warning, fatigue left him almost immobile, and fear was a constant companion. Yet, through every trial, he held fast to the belief that he could endure. The child depended on him, and he would not fail. Every flutter, every heartbeat, every tiny movement was a reminder of the strength and resilience that lay within both himself and the life he carried. These small signs of life became symbols of hope, guiding him through the darkness.